Ray worked 31 years carrying mail in Savannah, Georgia. He retired 6 months ago today. His first Social Security deposit hit this morning. He opened his phone. The number was wrong. Not wrong like a bank error, wrong like smaller, noticeably permanently smaller than he planned for. Ray assumed retirement would mostly run itself. 31 years of work, then it just works, right? It doesn't. There are 7 mistakes almost every retiree over 65 makes in the first few years. Most of them are invisible until the money is already gone. Ray has already made at least 2. Mistake number 1, claiming Social Security too early. This is the one Ray already made. You can file for Social Security as early as 62. Most people do. Ray filed the month he turned 62. He thought he was being smart. Get the money flowing. Start enjoying retirement a little early. What nobody explained clearly enough, filing at 62 locks in a benefit cut of roughly 30%. Not for a few years, not until you catch up. Permanently. Every check, every month, for the rest of your life. Full retirement age for most people right now is 66 or 67. That's when you get the full amount. Ray filed 4 years early. That means his check is roughly 25% less than it would have been. Every single month for the next 20 years, give or take. That is not a small difference. If his full benefit would have been $2,000 a month, he's getting roughly $1,500 instead, forever. Over 20 years, that gap adds up to roughly $120,000 from one form filed too early. Ray didn't know. He thought early meant eager. Nobody told him early meant less, for life. That's the one that already happened to Ray. Can't undo it. But the next 6, those are still preventable. Mistake number 2, missing the required minimum distribution. This one blindsided Ray's older brother completely. Once you turn 73, the IRS requires you to start withdrawing money from traditional retirement accounts every year. Not because you need it, because the government wants its taxes. They let you defer for decades. Now it's time. It's called a required minimum distribution. The amount is based on your balance and your age. It changes every year. Miss it, even by accident, even because you forgot. And the penalty used to be 50% of what you owed. They recently lowered that to 25%. Still brutal. Miss a $10,000 withdrawal and you owe $2,500 in penalties alone. Ray's brother turned 73 last year. He had a traditional retirement account he had barely touched in 8 years. He thought leaving it alone was the responsible thing. Don't touch the retirement money. Let it sit and grow. Nobody told him that after 73, leaving it alone is the expensive option. He got the IRS letter in March. $2,500 for not taking money he was already allowed to take. The penalty was more than his electric bill for the year. Ray has years before this applies to him, but he wrote it down on the notepad. First thing under mistake number 2. Mistake number 3, underestimating healthcare costs in retirement. This one catches almost everyone off guard. Most people assume Medicare covers everything once you turn 65. It covers a lot. It does not cover everything. Dental work, vision, hearing aids, long-term custodial care. These are mostly out of pocket, and they're not cheap. A single pair of hearing aids can run $3,000 to $7,000. Medicare typically pays $0 for them. Widely cited retirement research puts lifetime out-of-pocket healthcare spending for a 65-year-old couple well into 6 figures, combined. That's not a scare number. That's premiums plus copays plus dental plus prescriptions plus the things Medicare simply doesn't touch. Ray budgeted for groceries. He budgeted for the mortgage. He budgeted for gas and the electric bill. He didn't budget for his ears. He's been asking people to repeat themselves since last Thanksgiving. He assumed it would just get covered when the time came. It won't. He looked it up last week. $4,000 out of pocket for one pair of hearing aids entry level. Healthcare in retirement is not a maybe expense. It is a guaranteed one. Budget for it like the mortgage, or it will surprise you. Mistake number 4. Pulling a lump sum from retirement savings to pay off the house all at once. This sounds like the most responsible thing a retiree could do. Pay off the house. Eliminate the biggest monthly bill. Freedom. Ray's neighbor did exactly this. She pulled $80,000 from her traditional retirement account in 1 calendar year to clear the mortgage. No more mortgage. Felt incredible. For about 4 months. Then the tax bill arrived. Then the letter from Medicare. When you pull a large amount from a traditional retirement account, the entire withdrawal counts as taxable income that year. All of it. $80,000 on top of her Social Security pushed her into a much higher tax bracket. She owed thousands more in federal taxes than expected. But that's only half of it. Medicare uses your income from 2 years ago to set your premium. This is called an income-related adjustment. Her income spiked that 1 year because of the withdrawal. 2 years later, her Medicare premium jumped significantly. She got a letter she didn't understand, a surcharge on her Medicare premium for being too rich that 1 year. She wasn't rich. She just pulled one large sum in 1 year instead of spreading it across several. One timing decision, 2 separate penalties. Ray heard about this from her over the fence last month. He wrote it down on the notepad, underlined it twice. If this is the kind of retirement talk that actually helps, like it. And subscribe. We do this every week. Mistake number 5. No withdrawal order strategy. This one is invisible, and it costs people thousands every year. Most retirees have money in a few different places. A regular savings account, maybe a traditional retirement account, maybe a tax-free one. When they need money each month, most people just pull from whatever's easiest, usually the regular savings account. First in, first out. Regular savings and Roth withdrawals aren't taxed again, so draining them first feels painless. The order you choose still matters. Because at 73, the IRS forces withdrawals from the traditional account whether you're ready or not. Remember mistake number 2. Now, all your taxable withdrawals are bunched into the same years. Your savings account is empty. Your tax bill spikes, exactly when you have the least flexibility. The order you spend from different accounts matters as much as how much you saved. Most retirees never plan the order at all. They treat it like a buffet, grab what's closest. But the tax consequences of the wrong sequence compound every year you're retired. Ray hasn't thought about this once. He's been pulling from his savings account since he retired. It felt like the obvious move. It was the obvious move. It just wasn't the right one, and nobody explained why until right now. Mistake number 6. Staying too conservative with your investments for too long after you retire. The week Ray retired, he moved every dollar he had into a basic savings account. Cash. Safe. No risk. It felt like the grown-up thing to do. No more watching the market. No more checking if it went up or down. Just a number in a savings account. Safe, done. Except a retirement can last 20 years, or 25, or 30. Ray's mother lived to 91. His father made it to 88. If Ray lives to 88, his money needs to last 20 more years, in a savings account earning next to nothing. Inflation right now is running between 3 and 4% a year. His savings account is earning under 1%. The gap is real. Over 20 years at 3% inflation, money that just sits in cash loses nearly half its buying power. A dollar becomes about 55 cents. That means Ray's groceries, his gas, his electric bill, all of it costs roughly double by the time he's 88. His savings account doesn't double. It barely moves. Safe feels right. But safe and motionless are two different things. Motionless money in a 30-year retirement is a slow leak nobody notices until it's too late. Ray didn't know he was supposed to keep some portion of his savings working. He thought the finish line meant you stop. It doesn't. This is the dread tax at work. The cost of doing nothing because doing nothing feels safer than doing something wrong. Mistake number 7. Bailing out adult children without checking your own runway first. This is the hardest one to talk about. Not because it's wrong to help your kids. It's not. It's because nobody wants to say no to their child, especially when they actually need it. Ray's daughter called him in February. She and her husband found a house they could almost afford. They needed help with the down payment. She asked if he could help with $15,000. He said yes before he did the math, because that's what fathers do. $15,000 out of a finite retirement balance. Not infinite, finite. A number that has to last until the day he dies. He didn't check what $15,000 means over 20 years of a retirement that's already started. He just wired it. $15,000, if it had stayed in a moderately balanced account earning 5 to 6% over 20 years, becomes roughly $40,000 to $50,000. That's not the $15,000 he gave his daughter. That's the $40,000 to $50,000 future Ray won't have at 88. That's years of groceries, heating bills, prescriptions. The mistake is not helping. The mistake is helping without doing the math first, without knowing what your runway actually is, and setting a limit you can survive. Ray loves his daughter. He doesn't regret saying yes, but he didn't know the number he was actually saying yes to. And that's the point. Ray picks up the phone, not to panic, to ask one question about withdrawal order. 6 months of pulling from the wrong account. One phone call to stop the bleeding. That's it. The mistakes you already made have a fixed price. The ones you catch in time cost nothing. Ray figured out one mistake he can still fix tonight. You just saw all 7. Subscribe for the next one.